power. Prosecutors are seeking an 11-year prison sentence for Sean Diddy Combs. Diddy is set to be sentenced Friday. And Sunday, Young Thug performed a free concert in front of the courthouse where his YSL RICO trial was held. The Live from Atlanta show was held nearly 1 year after his release from custody. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome to the Good Morning Show. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. And we're giving you that number for a reason. I'm Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. Why are we giving them the number, Chief?
Because we're here to hear you.
We are here to hear you. You are hearing us, hopefully loud and clear. Whether you are listening on AM radio at WBOK 1230 AM, on the internet via the WBOK station internet site, or if you can tune in on Facebook Live. Just tune in to WBOK 1230 AM on Facebook, for those of you all who are on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, you can ask somebody to pull it up and show it to you, and that way you can listen and watch. Of course, we had our very good mayoral debate forum yesterday here at WBOK. We appreciate the candidates who participated. State Representative Royce Duplessis, City Council member Oliver Thomas, and we also had CPA Frank Janusa, Republican candidate, and two Democratic candidates. So those were the candidates who were with us yesterday for a full hour, and we got into some things yesterday, and I thought it was a pretty good event. We got some good reaction from callers. Well, I say good, but we got reaction and responses. So people were listening, and they had some things to say, and our online numbers shot through the roof as well. Don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that, but the numbers went up pretty well.
Yeah, I saw that. You know, one of the things that I was very pleased with, that the interaction between the candidates was really, really candid, and you know, it gave the public, the radio, our listeners, you know, our population, a view inside the candidates at the, you know, their ideas, their future for the city. They gave their perspective on where they think the city is going and what they can do to basically put their mark, for lack of a better term, on government. And, you know, all of them come from varied backgrounds and, you know, varied senses of accomplishment throughout life, what they've done. You know, Mr. Janusa was really, really adroit with numbers and his field of accounting, you know, and I didn't really know a lot about him till yesterday. And I mean, he was really impressive.
And I think that was one of the important reasons for us to have a diversity of candidates on the radio. I mean, Mr. Janusa said he had never been to WBOK before, not at this location or any other location. So it was all new experience for him. Of course, the senator and the councilman who have both been regular listeners of WBOK and regular visitors to WBOK and very familiar with WBOK. And of course, OT was a host of the Good Morning Show for such a long time. So whole different thing for them to walk into this studio. But for Mr. Janusa,
Yeah,
that was the thing.
I was very impressed with him. I really was. He said he was a Republican, but he was a friendly Republican, but
Not a hostile.
not a hostile Republican. And I mean he was very charismatic. And I got to learn a lot about him. So that was one thing that I took away. Royce Duplessis is extremely polished young man. Oliver is very seasoned. So we had three very qualified candidates that participated in the debate. And I mean, it was really, really well done, and it was well. I guess it was a situation where the listeners really appreciated from the comments that we received. And this was my first time ever participating in anything like this because I'm new to this. So I got a lot to learn. And I think I learned a lot yesterday.
Well, I appreciate you joining me with this effort, and I think you did a good job.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
And I want to thank the listeners who decided to send in questions and also comments, which helped shape some of the questions for yesterday. This is your Black Talk radio station, and we are here as facilitators, coordinators, and the people in front of the mic every weekday morning. But this is your station, and so if you've got things on your heart, on your mind, something in your head that doesn't feel quite right, we want to hear it. If you've got a question, we'll do our best to give an answer, but as my daddy would say, but at least we'll give you a response.
Exactly.
So it is 7:09 a.m., folks. If you got somewhere to be at 7:15, you got just a few minutes. 7:30 might be a better mark for those of you who are getting yourself together to actually leave the house to go somewhere. And that might be for an appointment. That might mean because you have to get to the job. Might be because you need to get to class. And it might be because you have to get to the gym.
That's right.
And do some working out. So it's 7:10 a.m. So be sure you're watching the school kids.
Oh, yes.
It is school time, and you don't want to cause any injuries or any shocking moments to disrupt your day or other people's day either. Of course, we have other news going on in the world, and some of those things include that, the Democrats and Republicans could not agree on some budget factors. So as of last night or early today, midnight, we have a government shutdown. So officially, the government has run out of money. Officially,
wow.
That doesn't mean they really have. But this is some people are calling it the cause of the first shutdown of most federal operations since 2018.
Wow.
So that's not long ago, but it is several years. And the Democrats and Republicans were working out how to determine which things are going to be covered and how to come to an agreement to avoid the government shutdown. But that agreement did not come to be. So this has, in the past, been based in part on the White House's Office of Management and Budget, and they determine which parts of government are essential and services and must continue, which government services have to be cut back or curtailed, or which have to be stopped, at least temporarily. And so that affects a lot of people. The military does not stop working.
No, thank God.
The military does not stop working. And for those of you all who served our good country, we thank you for your service, and you'll be happy to know that your retirement checks will continue to come. So if you usually get your check on the 1st today, or the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, or whatever, you can still expect that deposit to hit your bank account. But any changes to accounts would have to wait. And sometimes in life, you have to change the accounts. And Veterans Affairs, VA benefits are expected to be continued to be processed. It doesn't necessarily mean that you get the end result you want so quickly. And of course, we have folks who are not flying in the air, but we're flying in the air. But we have the folks who monitor those flights, and commercial airlines will continue. Because we live in New Orleans and on the Gulf Coast with a government shutdown, we have to be concerned about hurricanes and heavy storms. So what happens with those federal agencies and those federal employees? First of all, to monitor what's going on, and then second, if something happens, well, what does that look like? Now, keep in mind, we already have had about a 20% cut in like the National Weather Service.
Wow.
And that's without the government shutdown.
Right. That's just
that's just
regular.
You know. So that's some Trump right sizing. But FEMA will be on duty during the shutdown, but they too have been reduced in size. So that is definitely something we have to be aware of. And you know, so often when we think about federal government, we think about people working in Washington D.C. Louisiana has more than 19,000 federal employees in Louisiana.
That's a large percentage of our workforce.
So they work for federal agencies that have offices in our state, just as there are federal offices in other states, so they can be closer to the people in some cases. And in other cases, it's just the right place for them to have satellite offices or central district regional offices. But that's particularly true in and around the cities of New Orleans and in Baton Rouge. We've got 1.26 million Louisiana seniors who get Medicare and 1.6 million who get Medicaid. So those things should be unaffected. But the longer this shutdown goes on, we don't know what might be affected. So that's certainly something that we want you to be aware of and pay attention to as we go through the day today and this week. And we have a big election going on, as everybody knows, but it's also budget time. So the mayor is scheduled to deliver her budget proposal, and a budget proposal at the time when we've been talking about deficits somewhere between $65 million to $100 million to $110 million, and maybe even $140 million. It'll be interesting to see what the mayor's proposed budget looks like as she presents that to the city council later today. So certainly we got some very different ideas of what the deficit looks like, but you can't present a budget without working from some set of numbers. And then, of course, there's a negotiation between the executive branch and legislative branch. But the executive branch are responsible for presenting that budget. So kind of a interesting and a bit of a precarious time, Chief, to present the budget with so much animosity about what are the real figures.
You know, I look at it, sometimes because I use the term proverbial bureaucratic quagmire. where you have different entities with different agendas, different priorities, and they have to come together to come to some type of resolve to get the functionality of the city going. You know, they have to look at it from the perspective where the utilization of resources at optimal efficiency must be implemented. When you have limited resources, then you are in a position where you cannot have the luxury or affordability to waste anything. You know, from a police perspective, you know, that's the lens in which I look at it from. You know, I brought my district commanders in all the time, and I said, I know you don't have enough to do things, everything you want to do, but you have to prioritize. Preservation of human life is paramount. Calls for service for life and death situations are paramount. So you have to always make sure that these things are attended to and are in place. Then, you know, it goes down the food chain. I remember at one point, we weren't even handling calls for accidents. Police, you know, the manpower had shrunk to a point where we weren't even handling accidents. And that caused so many other problems because when you don't have the police as the mediator, you know, the insurance companies were like, you know, who's at fault? You know, who's in the wrong? Because, you know, police weren't actually going out and handling accidents. So they came up with a plan to come up with funding to put police back on the street to handle accidents. That's just one example of how, you know, the public has to have a lot of input in this because, you know, when you look at it from the perspective of a police chief, you know, I wasn't the chief at the time when we weren't actually handling accidents, but I was on the police department at the time. And, you know, they had to make some really tough decisions. That's when we went to the 4-day work week. That was in the 1980s. And, you know, accidents are very important. That's something that affects the average person more often than a life and death situation. So when you looked at the public outcry and these insurance companies was basically caught in a situation where, you know, it was causing problems because they didn't know who was at fault, so who had to pay, who didn't have to pay. So they came back to the table and came up with the funding for that. So that's just an example of, you know, how compromises have to be made and how people have to come together, not just from a police department or from a governmental entity, but from an entire community entity. So, you know, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and of course, before any mayor presents a budget, they've already been in touch with the various department heads and agencies to talk about how things have been working, what has been effective, what hasn't been as effective, what money have you spent? Is there money that you haven't spent that you were scheduled to spend? And projections, all of that goes into preparing the budget that will be presented to City Council today. So we're about to go to break. It is 7:20 a.m. Welcome to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to bring you the news and information you want to know, need to know, should know. If you got questions and comments about that news, we certainly want to hear from you at 504-582-9422. Sometimes, Chief, I think the people in the back maybe get too tone deaf to my voice. So what's that number, Chief?
504-582-9422.
504-582-9422. Great show ahead coming up right after the break. We're going to have one of the producers of Sarah's Oil. Derek Williams, our homeboy, a New Orleans born and bred guy, and he's doing big things in the film industry. And the latest movie that he's involved in comes out in November, but we got a sneak preview last night, and we've got him in studio coming up next. We're also going to hear from Dr. Juanita Mora, an immunologist and national spokesperson for the American Lung Society. That'll be coming up during the show as well. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Police are investigating a homicide in Mid-City where a man was shot and killed. Police say this happened around 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon on Bienville Street. We're coming off the heels of what crime analysts say was the deadliest week in New Orleans since the New Year's Day terror attack. Despite the uptick, crime overall is still at historic lows. Today, convicted former 911 director Tyrell Morris is set to be sentenced. A jury found him guilty last week of lying and covering up a wreck in his agency-issued vehicle. Back in 2023, Morris was involved in an accident where he flashed a blue emergency light, although he's not an officer. He also falsified a report to an insurance company and altered an OPCD policy to avoid a drug test. Morris could face up to 17 years in prison. Also happening today, the Orleans Parish Jail employee accused of assisting in the massive jailbreak will be back in court. Sterling Williams is accused of cutting off the water in a jail cell so the inmates could escape through a hole behind a toilet in that cell. He's pleaded not guilty to principle of simple escape and malfeasance in office. Water quality across the metro area has been tested, and one local nonprofit says parish leaders need to take it seriously. The Water Collaborative tested tap water from 107 homes across 7 different parishes, including in Orleans. The results showed 98% of homes had at least a trace of what's called forever chemicals, substances like lead, copper, arsenic, and manganese. The group has a meeting in New Orleans scheduled for Thursday at 6 p.m. at the RTA boardroom on Canal. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. The banking industry is working hard to try to earn the trust of black households. Research from the McKinsey Institute for Black Economic Mobility shows that avoiding banks is costing black families money and could be a key contributor to the racial wealth gap. That's why firms like Greenwood could make a big difference. It's a black-owned financial institution helping to bring more black families into banking, and it's reinvesting in the black community. Ryan Glover is co-founder and chairman of Greenwood and talked to me about some of the creative ways his firm gives back.
When our members create an account through Greenwood, it provides essentially 5 meals to a food insecure family through Gooder. Each time you make a purchase, Greenwood rounds up the spare change to support HBCUs through the UNCF.
Glover's Greenwood co-founders are rapper and activist Killer Mike and former Atlanta mayor and U.S. Ambassador Andrew Young. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
New Orleans never sleeps, and neither does WBOK. Now, every voice, every moment, and every show is in your pocket. Search WBOK Media wherever you get podcasts. Download, share, rate us 5 stars. Because when you support us, you amplify black voices and the New Orleans culture.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fits-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. This is your Black Talk radio station, and you're hearing our voices, and you'll soon hear from Derek Williams. But the phone number is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. It is 7:28. If you got somewhere to be at 7:30, I hope it's on the other side of your bed. And then you got your laptop fired up, your phone in your hand so that they can know, yes, sir, I'm at work and ready to go. If you got the chance to get somewhere for 8, you got a little bit more time. Of course, in New Orleans, 15 to 20 minutes, you can get most places. Right. But what do we want them to do when they get out there driving, Chief?
You got to be careful. Look out for the kids.
Look out for the kids. Pay attention to the speed limit.
Very much so. Because
I've been known to go over the speed limit a time or two.
Well, we got to slow it down. Slow it down, especially in the school zones. Chief love the kids.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to jump into conversation with our homeboy, Derek Williams. And the reason he's here is because there's a fantastic movie coming out in November. November 7th, I believe, is the date. And Chief and I had the wonderful opportunity of seeing a preview last night in Elmwood. And we are very happy to introduce to some, reintroduce to others, Mr. Derek Williams, one of the producers of Sarah's Oil, and our homeboy. Good morning, Mr. Williams.
Good morning. Good morning. You guys are up and at it. It's early.
Oh, yeah.
It's early for a West Coaster right now.
Right. Well, welcome to the Good Morning Show. Welcome to WBOK, and welcome back home. I'm sure you're in and out here periodically with no appearances, but because you got family here.
Born and raised.
All right. So tell us about it. Who your mama and them?
Well,
where are you from?
Yeah,
where did you go to high school?
Well, listen, I was born in the 7th Ward.
All right.
And my dad is Donald Williams. He's no longer with us, but he's a musician here in the New Orleans area. My mom is Sheila Bonner, then became Sheila Chapatow. So you know Chap's snowball stand?
Yes.
My grandfather.
No way.
Yeah.
All right. Oh man, I used to get snowballs there all the time.
Yeah. Right there by Corpus Christi.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I worked there. I might have helped you one of these
strawberry
days.
pineapple. I get the same thing every time.
Yeah. Condensed milk on top?
No.
Oh,
Not
you're
a
pretty
condensed
healthy.
guy, huh? Oh man.
No, I can see,
Chief's in shape. For a reason.
Right.
So, what high school did you go to?
I went to Warren Easton, but I also went to NOCA. So I was
obviously.
Yeah, so I went to NOCA, Warren Easton half day, and then the rest of the day I was over at. But that was during the Mr. Marcellus era.
Right.
Oh.
So he was my jazz instructor.
Okay.
Interesting enough, my dad passed in the summer, and I don't remember the exact year. I was just turning 12. And my stepmom said, hey, I have these drums here for your dad. We would like to give it to you. And so I got the drums. Had never played drums before. Wow. My mom said, hey, we're going to go to Werlines to get some drum lessons. At the end of the summer, I'm auditioning for Ellis Marcellus to go to NOCA. Wow. And I got in.
Wow, that's incredible.
So it was old NOCA. Right. I haven't been to the new NOCA with all the nice.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, I hear great things. No, I have to go by.
Oh, it's a treat.
You'll be blown away.
It's a treat. You didn't have to go as a student, faculty member, staff, or alum, and you're going to be impressed with the complex.
Yeah, no, that's what I hear.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
I need to try to make that a priority this trip.
Yeah, yep. I think we're going to be working on you extending your trip by at least a day or two. I'm not your personal assistant, but I am a connector and a facilitator, and I see other things in your future, young man.
Well, I appreciate it. Hey, are you spiritual?
I've been known to have some of that. My grandmother from rural Mississippi, barely got out of 8th grade. But one of the things she had was this people thing that was just amazing, And part of that came because she got to know people before they were born. So my grandmother was a midwife.
Oh, yeah.
In the, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and delivered black babies and white babies, because sometimes it's like the baby coming and the white doctor not available, and they're like,
come over here.
Come on over. So she really got to know people before they were born, as they were born, and it'd be something going around with my grandmother, people of all kinds and colors saying, Cousin Bessie, that kind of thing. All that to say that I'm not her, but I do have some of that energy, and I know why God has me here.
That's right.
And it is not for riches. It is for people and serving Him in other ways through people and connecting people. But we're going to get back to more about
what
you.
better way to do that than being on the radio?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the incredible way to communicate.
So where did you go to college?
I went to Dillard University. However, I didn't get a chance to finish, and I'll let you know.
Did you?
Yeah. What happened with that was I was at the time a musician, and sought after a little bit, and by the time we get started, I would the tour was starting. I'm in Europe, and then I would come back, and admissions would let me back in, and Mark Chatters, Maynard Chatters, was the jazz instructor over at Dillard, and I was always able to get back in, so I did 3 years at Dillard.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm a son of Dillard. My mom and dad met at Dillard, and a little something happened.
Fair Dillard. It was fair.
Yep. All right. So where do you live these days? How long have you been away from the city, and how often do you come back?
Well, now I'm living in Oakland, California, which is new for me because I was in Los Angeles for many years, and within the last month and a half, my family and we relocated to Northern California to take care of my father-in-law, who's 91.
Great.
So
Wonderful.
we have the flexibility of being able to be there and still do what we do.
Very cool. Just by chance, y'all live near or know of Lake Merritt?
Oh, absolutely.
I love Lake Merritt.
Yeah, it's wonderful. my son, when we drive, he says, because my son runs track, he says, I'm going to run around this lake.
Wow.
It's gorgeous. All right. So you've been involved in film for quite a while.
Yes,
I mean, you probably, have 12, 15, 20 films
Easy,
out there?
yes.
Yeah.
I stopped counting, but I should do better at that. I should know the exact number, but certainly more about that, if not more.
All right. How did you get involved in that?
Very organically, actually. I started, as a live events guy. And because the way my mind thinks and works, I'm always looking for the ancillary opportunity within an IP. Right. So if it's a book, can it be a play? Can it be a podcast? Can it be a movie? And so that's how that started. And I met through Tyler Perry, who's also a New Orleanian.
Absolutely.
We stick together.
Yep.
I met him, and he was working with T.D. Jakes, and T.D. Jakes was doing stage plays. And so through that process, he had a signature piece, Woman Thou Art Loose, and which was a book. Talking about maximizing opportunity, a book turned play, turned conference, turned movie.
Yeah. Right.
And so that was our way from that play into cinema. And we did a first look deal. We got a first look deal at Sony Pictures and gave an opportunity to do 7 pictures through that first deal. And that's where it all started.
And so you've had that Bishop T.D. Jakes connection for a while now.
Yeah. It's been great. This movie here, doing stuff with him and without him. But,
Right.
Yeah.
But you got Sarah's Oil
yes, sir.
Coming up, and we want to thank you for having us for the preview last night. And we could gush a little bit, but we want to make sure we have the opportunity for our listeners to hear directly from you. It's an incredible story of a 11-year-old girl in Oklahoma who becomes a millionaire.
That's right.
And it's also a story that I don't think is commonly known.
Mm-hmm.
there are certainly scholars and academics, and there are Black history buffs who probably know that deeper level of knowledge with this story. But it's a great story.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
So tell us about the story and the movie.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's about an 11-year-old girl in the early 1900s that had oil on her property. She had gotten her land back. She was born in Indian. On her ancestors, were part of the Creek Indian nation, and through that, the government was giving back their land. But the land that they were giving back was way out in the swamps somewhere, not thinking that there was going to be anything there. And she just had this feeling, this extra sense, this sixth sense, that on her land there was oil. She said she could hear it, and she pursued that. As a young girl going to school, her parents didn't really read or write, but she was able to fight her way through and convince the oil companies at the time to come and check it out. And when they found out that there was actually oil, they were trying to swindle her out of, of her money and her wealth and her riches, and she fought them all the way through the courts, and she was able to get oil and became a very wealthy woman in the early 1900s.
Which is a heck of a thing.
Right? Yeah, which is not commonly known. So when I read this script, the script was incredible. Cyrus Nowrasteh and his wife Betsy wrote it, and I was like, wow, this story, man, everyone needs to hear this story. Mm-hmm. And so I got on board, and we made it happen. But it's been 4 years in the makings.
Yeah. Yep. So a couple of prominent people are connected to this film. So a football player. And his wife.
Yeah.
Who are they? Tell us about that connection.
Well, Russ Wilson and Sierra, his wife, is a part of it. They have EP'd it. They really resonated with the story, and it also is a story of faith. Because her faith is what really got her through. She depended heavily on that, and both those guys are people of faith, and so.
When you look at that movie, for a young African American girl at the age of 11, she took a very circuitous route to becoming a millionaire.
Yes.
But not just as a young African American, but as a child.
Right.
Her approach was very heterodoxical.
Right.
It wasn't an orthodox approach at all.
And a child shall lead them, right?
Yeah, and a child shall lead them.
Right.
And you look at it from that perspective, it transcended her race, which was also a big impediment at that time.
Right.
But just for her being a child, being so precocious and so sagacious and perspicacious at that age, it was incredible.
Yeah, thank you. That's it's important for people to know. It doesn't matter where you are, what age, where it starts. Persevere, being persistent, and that she was able to get on the other side of it.
And then when you look at the complexities of the oil business at that time,
right.
Just the jargon and the parlance that they spoke, usually that world is more esoteric, recondite, and achromatic. It's
right.
not known to the common person because they were using very technical terms in the movie when they were doing the sampling and things such as this. And she was able to dissect that at 11 years old.
At 11 years old.
That's incredible. She was a genius. She was brilliant.
Yeah, but way ahead of her time. And I think that's what was able to get her to get the success that she had because of that. She was well beyond her years. Right. She didn't stay with us very long. She actually passed at 61.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So it's just a period of time that we were able to have Sarah Rector in our life. But look at the impact that she made. And hopefully with this movie, she can make even more and beyond. The family is ecstatic about it.
Right. I bet they are. To have that a part of your family history,
right?
An important part of Black history, and of course, Black history is American history.
That's right.
Because a lot of things happen in states where we might not realize the federal government's involvement of rights and wrongs and how things like this even came to be.
That's right.
That a kid could get that much land.
Right.
That, of course, they weren't doing her a favor. They
Right,
were like,
right.
well, we have to do something.
Right.
So here's some land.
In the swamp.
Ain't nothing happening
Way back
over
here in the corner.
You know,
Nobody
so,
ever be there.
Yeah, we got a call. Cedric, good morning. You're on with Derek Williams.
Derek and I'm missing names. I'm sorry. I was halfway listening.
This is
but
Derek
then I caught
Williams.
up.
Cedric,
Derek
this
Williams.
is Derek Williams, one of the producers of Sarah's Oil, coming out in November.
Man, look, I have a book that's maybe 10 years old, but it's more like a children's book.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it to my granddaughter. And all this stuff. Now, I never knew that she was the one that discovered the Earl. I don't think they ever put this in a book that I have. You know, they put that this white judge helped her with her money. They somewhere along later, I think W.D. Du Bois, some of those guys helped her too.
Yeah.
But there's another book that I compare to the one that I have, besides the movie. I don't know how I'm missing this movie thing, man.
Well, I mean, you can, November 7th, you don't have to miss it. It'll be in theaters everywhere, and you'll be able to see it. And the studio is coming out with an additional book based on the movie. I think it's called Sarah Riches. So there'll be some additional material there for you. But yeah, this is
because from what I got in the story, they gave us some land they thought was worthless.
That's exactly
but they never
right.
did say how they discovered the land. But once, and I think her father even tried to sell it, and they wouldn't even let him sell it, so they were stuck with it.
Yeah,
So,
she ran into some tax problems, so they were trying to take her land as well. It was a small amount of money, but it was a lot of money in that time, and so she had not only needed to overcome that challenge, but she knew it in her gut that there was more to that land than most people knew, and she was right.
Yeah. Man, I'm really looking forward to seeing this. Thank you, man.
You got it.
All right, thank you,
All right,
Cedric.
take care.
Have a blessed day, man. It was a really enjoyable movie. I don't want to give all of it away, but one of the points in the movie that I thought was particularly important was that parents are trying to do the best by their kids,
right?
Raising them, and if the kid knows things that they don't know, they're happy for the kid, but they're still a kid. They want to take care of them, cover them, protect them, and the parents were pushing back a bit. How you know this? And it's like they didn't say it, but it's like you're a kid,
right? Go over there and sit down.
But when she brought in that Lord thing,
right?
Oh my! It's like things changed in the house.
Right.
Things changed in the house.
It makes us reflect and think about that we need to listen to our kids, because sometimes as parents we are guiding them and protecting them, but sometimes we need to listen because they have something to say that might benefit us all.
And I look at it from a perspective of my grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
My granddaughter Dakota, she is just so smart for her age. I mean, she's been precocious her whole life, and she'll do things and tell me things that'll touch my heart, and I'm like, wow, this. I mean, I'll be having problems, and she said, "Poppy, let me tell you what you need to do," and I'm like, wow. She for that moment she becomes the parent, and I become the child.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like, she's 12 now, and I've watched her maturate to that point. She's been like that her whole life.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
We're going to take a quick break. Can you stay with us a few minutes?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to go to break and come back in conversation. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. We're talking with producer Derek Williams from the film Sarah's Oil, our homeboy who's back in town for a few days. The movie is coming out November 7th. If you have a question or comment, go ahead and call the talk line, 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another mostly dry and hot day. There will be a chance for a spotty shower or two if you're lucky, but again, most of us staying dry. Highs today will rise into the low 90s, feeling just a few degrees above that. And then for tonight, lows into the 60s on the North Shore and the 70s on the South Shore. A little bit better chances for rain over the next couple of days, especially for the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Michelle Woodfork is New Orleans born and raised, a proud graduate of St. Mary's Academy. She earned a master's in criminal justice and rose through the ranks to become chief of police. She turned the NOPD around, reducing crime, boosting morale, and expanding recruitments. She's earned this city's trust, and as sheriff, she'll be a leader we can all be proud of. Michelle Woodfork, proven, prepared, the right choice.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for sheriff.
New Orleans is an easy city to love. It shouldn't be a hard place to live. I'm Matthew Willard, born and raised in Gentilly, proud to carry on my family's tradition of public service. In less than 6 years, I passed 36 bills that made a difference. Now I'm running for City Council at Large Division 1 so we can keep living in the city we love. Safe, affordable, and one that gets the job done. New Orleans, let's make it happen. Paid for by the Matthew Willard Campaign.
Vote for Kenneth Cutno. On Saturday, October 11th, a vote for Kenneth Cutno is a vote for lower energy bills, lower sewage and water board rates, affordable housing, decreased crime, and a higher citizen wage. Vote Kenneth Cutno, number 31. For City Council at Large, Division 2, vote Kenneth Cutno.
This measure has been approved by Kenneth Cutno.
Saints of God, it's time for us to tell you the truth. It's time for you to start your 21-day challenge. Don't take another day. Do it right now. Call 504-701-4711. That's the whole water stove, Pastor David Impartian Sr., the host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. This is the water that's designed to change your body, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you look. Why don't you start your 21-day challenge today? For $35, you can start it right now. Call me so we can set up your appointment. 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. Change your water, change your mind.
I live in New Orleans, and I work for Entergy. Hundreds of us make this city our home. That's why we're committed to providing you low-cost, reliable power. We're working on new projects across the city to reduce outages when bad weather strikes.
And we're working hard to keep our rates 20% below the national average. We're making changes and doing more.
Because New Orleans is our home, too.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. It is 7:51. You got a little bit of time. You got somewhere to be at 8 o'clock, depending on how far you got to go. Or maybe you're already on your way. If you are, I hope you're tuned in to 12:30 a.m. You can find us at WBOK 12:30 a.m. You can find us on the internet via the station's website, WBOK 12:30 a.m. And you can, of course, find us on Facebook Live. We are live, and you can listen and you can watch. But don't do that in your car.
No, not
don't do that in your car.
Don't watch in your car.
Don't watch in the car. You want to put it somewhere else and listen. If you're getting a better signal that way instead of AM, that's okay. But we're in conversation with Derek Williams, our homeboy from New Orleans, and he's he went to high school at Easton and Noka, and so that Noka thing must have rubbed off pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Because he's deep in the film and entertainment business, and he's here talking about the new film, Sarah's Oil, which is coming out November 7th.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit more about what people can expect in November. What's the distribution going to look like? And if people have relatives in other cities, other states, will they too be able to see it?
Yes,
it will definitely be in New Orleans.
It will definitely be in New Orleans. It's a nationwide rollout. Amazon, MGM Studios are behind it, so we have some muscle behind it. And obviously, it will eventually be on Prime for those that have that. But it's important for you to go out that opening weekend because movies like this that are entertaining, and you both know that because you were there last night, but also educational, sometimes don't get as much eyeballs as, whatever that new action movie is. And so, and these movies are very important, and they're, about our people and our story. And so we need more people out in the theaters that opening weekend. You can't say, I'll see it next week, because next week it may be pulled from the movie theater. Right. And so that the movie business and the movie theater business is now starting to boom again. And so it's important for, how you can help by going out and support. And then we can do more of these.
So what if a church group wants to be a part of this, like as a individual ministry or as a whole church? I mean, is that possible?
Yes, absolutely. SarahOilFilms.com. You can do group sales. You can get a lot of information just by going to the website, and it'll give you all the information that you need if you're interested in buying out theaters, which is something that church groups and organizations have done to help. That would be extremely helpful. And it's really an outreach too, especially when you're thinking about church and ministry. You go out. So some people will never step foot into a church,
right?
But this is a way that they can get in because it is a faith-based, value-based movie as well. There's faith, which is a part of it.
I'll speak to that.
Yeah.
And so you don't know this. So I have a longtime friend who doesn't go to church.
Okay.
So much so it's rare for his wife to see him in a church.
Mm-hmm.
He was at the movie last night.
There you go. Case in point.
I look at how our society's changed with the Netflix, Prime, and everything. We stay home and watch movies.
Right.
But bringing my wife to that movie was like a date night.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was so
And we're happy
great.
you had us along for the day.
Yes, right. We double dated. Will and I double dated. Like, and it reminded me when I was young, I used to double date with my best friend in high school. We'd have the movie, we had the popcorn, the drinks, and everything.
Yeah, they're right behind us.
And we're sitting right behind it. Just, and it's like, it was really a good feeling. My wife told me, she said, you know what, this is, because Winston called me at the last minute.
Right.
Winston called me at the last minute. I think you were with him.
Yeah, I was with him,
and we were getting ready to sit down and look at TV, say what we were going to look at on TV. It was on Netflix and stuff. And Winston said, bro, you need to take that woman out. You need to take that woman out on a date. And I said, date? I mean, you're in your 60s and everything. Sometimes you get, but I mean, I got a beautiful wife that's just loving and everything, and she deserves me to be more attentive with stuff like that. So
man, you black don't crack.
Yeah.
You don't look 60, man.
I'm 67.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We gotta exchange notes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Chief's on it.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, man, that was a great experience.
He's chief. He's coach. He's trainer.
Right.
I mean, so yeah.
Yeah, well, I train NFL athletes. And,
there you go.
I've been training people since I was 19, since 1977. So good. My coach said, "You're not a great athlete, but boy, you strong." And I just stood with that. But God has blessed me. But man, you gave me an outlet last night, and my wife and I said, we're gonna do this more often.
That's great. That's
so
really good.
I want to thank you personally for that. And it was such a great film, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And one of the things I appreciated about last night, and I know you were very busy because it was a special event for you and your colleagues and all, and paying attention to detail, getting everybody in,
right?
Talking enough but not too much because people wanted to get into the movie. But what happened after the movie is people didn't leave.
Right.
I know. Man.
People didn't leave.
Right.
And so if the movie theater wasn't open for some other movies, they'd be like blinking the lights that y'all got to get out of here.
Right.
People wanted to connect and talk about the movie, even beyond the talk back that you all did after the movie.
Yes.
And talk with each other. And that sense of community was really nice as well.
That's the same thing. Bishop Love was saying the same thing. I was like, hey, let's be sensitive. It's a school night. It's a night. Let's not talk too long. Let's give people. But people were there. He said, man, they're with us. Then we can, listen, let's do it.
And that brother Ross that's building the studio.
Elvin Ross.
Elvin Ross. I mean, I reconnected with him. We talked for almost 30 minutes after the end of the talks were going on. I mean, he's just he reminds me so much of you, man.
Yeah.
He's innovative. He's brilliant, man. And he's just a real dude. He's just a real dude.
This is homegrown, man.
Yeah.
New Orleans produced a lot of strong folks.
Yeah.
I've been knowing Elvin at least since I was 14 years old.
Right.
And he, in his path and what he was doing with Tyler and what he's doing in his music and now coming back home.
And I'm going to be working with him because I'm going to have security for Bayou Fink. So we was able to take care of some business also.
That's great.
So I mean, when you get in a social setting like that, and you can touch great people, and you guys are also busy, just as me and Will are. So sometimes we don't have that accessibility to people we really need to talk to, and God has a way of putting us all together.
And we have to lift each other up and support each other, right? He's a filmmaker. He's doing stuff with the studio. It's my obligation to make him successful. Right. Because it's reciprocal, and we all benefit from that.
And Pastor Everett was there. Man, that's a dynamite young man.
He's a good guy.
Incredible man.
Yep. So, once again, Sarah's Oil coming out November 7th.
That's right.
How can people see it? What can people do to help? How can they find out more?
Well, the website, the sarahsoilfilm.com, is one way in which you can do it. The commercials will be running now for sure all over the place. It will be in a theater near you, and you'll see it. But if you want to go and jump online and pull it up by the website, that's one way in which you can do that. And then just tell people, come out and support that weekend. Those people that were at the screening last night, these interviews, you're helping, maybe, as we get closer, give us a few mentions every now and then, keep it top of mind.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at WBOK 1230 AM, the Good Morning Show. We've been talking to Derek Williams, our New Orleans homeboy, who's out in the Bay Area these days after time in Los Angeles. Welcome back home. I hope you're enjoying your visit. Maybe we can extend it by a day or two to make some other connections. But we have had a good conversation about, once again, Sarah's Oil coming out November 7th. And you can find more online at the website. But also look for the hashtag Sarah's Oil. No apostrophe. Sarah with a SOIL, not EARL. Oil. Not Earl.
Hey, we're in New Orleans. Love it.
All right. This is WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Texans will vote in November on a constitutional amendment to let judges deny bail to more violent offenders. Senator Joan Huffman says it's about public safety.
It has become starkly clear that our local officials making bail determinations need this tool to protect the people of Texas.
It's one of 17 proposed amendments on the ballot. At the UN, African leaders spoke on global issues but stayed silent on deadly conflicts in Sudan and Congo. Analysts say the omission shows weak institutions and growing foreign influence in peace talks despite tens of thousands dead and millions displaced. And streamer Kai Cenat says he turned down a $60 million gambling deal during his first Mafia-thon in 2023. He told Kirk Franklin, who was a recent guest, that not all money is good money, choosing long-term goals and financial freedom over a quick payday. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. If you missed the last conversation, we had a great conversation with Derek Williams, New Orleans homeboy, producer with the film Sarah's Oil. We had the opportunity to see a preview last night, and the movie is coming out in theaters November 7th. So if you haven't heard of it before, please go online. You can find it via their Sarah's Oil film website, and you can also look for hashtag Sarah's Oil online on social media, and up will pop more information, including a trailer about the movie that we saw last night. So this was a good follow-up conversation to the experience that we had last night, and I hope more people will have the opportunity to see what we saw, Chief.
Yeah, it was very impressive. I mean, like I said, this young lady has the intestinal fortitude to fight the entire system at 11 years old. You know, and it shows how important it is to be well educated, because she was very well educated. You know, she had learned to read, but not just read, to comprehend what she was reading. And so when they were giving her different things, trying to trick her, it didn't work. So you know, I don't want to give the whole movie away, but it'll be very enjoyable. Trust me, it'll be very enjoyable for you to go look at.
Yep. And of course, we've got an election coming up, and the election day is October 11th. Early voting has started, and early voting started on September 27th, and it continues today and each day other than Sunday through October 4th. The early indications are that the early voting is going strong, and much stronger than normal compared to other mayoral early voting first day and first couple of days. So that is a good indicator. But if you are registered to vote and you like to vote on October 11th, Election Day, you can do that. But you never know what might happen between now and then. So we encourage you to consider the opportunity of early voting, which is available now, and you can do that in the multiple locations, including City Hall, the Algiers Courthouse, the voting machine warehouse, and Lake Vista Community Center. So the polls are open at 8:30 daily, and there are and you don't have to do a lot. Make sure you have a valid identification card. It can be a driver's license or a state ID, and you can go and vote if you are registered to vote. If you are not registered to vote, it is not too late, because you can register to vote for November. You are not going to be able to vote in the October 11th election, but you certainly can vote in the November election. Meanwhile, there are daily news updates about some aspect of the election, the campaign, and a news poll came out from the University of New Orleans Survey Research Center. So this is the latest public poll. Keep in mind, as always, that polls are but a snapshot in time. They are an indicator based on the people that they did contact as a representative group based on the methodology that they are using. And this is whoever is paying for the poll has the opportunity to say what is released and what is not. But this one is a University of New Orleans Survey Research Center poll, and the poll was taken September 20th through the 24th, and it just came out yesterday. It shows 49% support for City Council Vice President Helena Moreno, and it shows 15% support for State Senator Royce Duplessis, and it shows 13% support for District E Council Member Oliver Thomas. So that's kind of the highlight of what that poll has shown. Of course, anyone who gets 50% plus is going to be the winner if that feat is achieved. So it's up to Senator Duplessis and Council Member Oliver Thomas, Frank Januza, and anybody else to get as many votes as they can to aim to get into a runoff. If they can top that number themselves, then they would be declared the winner. But right now, City Council Vice President Helena Moreno is leading in the latest poll by 30 points. We've got a caller. Good morning, Ms. Jones. Good morning.
Hello.
Hey, Pop Jones.
Oh, Pop Jones.
Papa Jones.
Oh.
All right.
Sorry.
Oh,
Good morning,
man,
Pop.
I tell you, it's a wham damn doodle.
Yeah?
Yes, indeed. So it look like it don't make no sense for the other people to run, huh?
Well, no, it's always makes sense for
Look
people
what
to
it
run
look
and
like.
makes
That's-
sense
yeah,
for
it look
people
like they
to
might as
vote.
well- They might as well get out the game, huh? No, they don't stand a chance. I'm seeing all the endorsements, all the big timers endorsing Helena Moreno, right?
No, that's some endorsements.
No.
That's not all of the endorsements.
No, well, some of the big timers.
Sure, that's true, but it's not true that it's all of the big time endorsements. Royce Duplessis
okay.
has big endorsements as well, and there are a number of community and political action groups and others that have supported Helena Moreno, State Senator Duplessis, City Council Member Oliver Thomas, and some of the other candidates as well.
Yeah, well, all I can say about that compared to what?
Well, what do you mean, Pop? Compared to what?
Well, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I don't understand what's going on with that, but I mean, everybody have, their reasons for going the way that they're going, and thank God give each one some mind to think and eyes, reasonable folks, so we can kind of, if we would do all we can for ourselves, and God will do the rest, but He's not going to do for you that what you can do for yourself. So when you go, like the great John Lewis say, if you see something, say something.
Mm-hmm.
So me as a person, I'm looking at this, and I know what I see. I don't care what they say. I know what I see, and I know what I know. Could you think I'm correct on that?
Well, everybody comes to it their way. Of course, some people seek more information and knowledge like you do. Other people don't want to be involved at all, or they'll wait to the last minute or until time to go vote, and they'll do it based on something that they heard or they saw. But there are folks like you who listen and read and want to know more about candidates and make more of an informed choice.
Well, when you look at it from a perspective, everybody is unique. And when you look at it from the perspective of what is important to you as an individual, even though some people may endorse a candidate, do they line up with your ideology? Do they line up with the things that are important to you? And in the final analysis, the only thing that really counts is the actual voter. When you go in that booth as an individual, you have the power to change.
Buddy.
And that is the real perspective that I try to, espouse to the listening audience. You are very powerful as an individual. It is good to get endorsements. It is good to get support.
Yeah.
But the ultimate endorsement is the endorsement that you have through your lens. That endorsement is basically the sum total of all your basically history with individuals who are running. What do you think that they will do in the future? What have they done in the past to give you an indication on what type of leader they will be if you put them in this position? And when you take into consideration the totality of all circumstances and then make that final decision, then you can go to sleep knowing that you did the best you could do. You made a wise and sagacious decision, and you can live with it. And that's basically what I look at.
Now, what I see, Chief, is this. What they got on us is this. They know a whole lot of us not even registered to vote.
Well, that's true.
And then a lot of us don't go out and vote. So they know they got the ups on us with that. And then some people vote for another party. And it's just a whole... And then after they put them in office, they don't even try to hold their feet to the fire to say, hey, man, what you doing? You been, hey, lady, what you doing for us?
Right.
My garbage not being, I'm paying for garbage. One part of the city getting 7 days a week. We get 1 day a week, and we paying the same thing. That's an easy question, isn't it?
I guess you're right, Pop. So
yeah, ask your councilman, ask the person.
Absolutely. When people get in office, you need to hold them accountable, and you can hold them accountable for your what's going on with my trash, what's going on with my utility bill, what's going on with my street, my potholes, my red lights, all of those kinds of things. Because if they put themselves up for office and we elect them, then we are expecting to hold them accountable for things that affect us individually, but also across our city council districts, our legislative districts, and citywide. Thank you so much for calling, Pop.
That's it. Yeah, it would make things better for everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
Absolutely. You have a blessed day, Pop. Okay. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. This is Will Sutton. I'm here with Chief Eddie Compass. The talk line number is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. Of course, we had the mayoral forum here at WBOK yesterday, and we had a good, informative hour or so. And let's play a clip from what we heard the candidates talking about yesterday. The candidates who participated were State Senator Royce Duplessis, CPA Frank Janusa, and City Council member Oliver Thomas. I'm a fan of ranked choice voting because voters get a chance to choose their first, second, and third choices for an elective office. Candidates where there's ranked choice voting have the opportunity for cross endorsements. In the case of New Orleans, if we were to have ranked choice voting, certainly you would want to be number one. But just give the names of your number 2 and your number 3. Mr. Janusa, you're first.
That's a very, very difficult question to answer because there are 11 of us running for mayor.
Just asking for 2 and 3.
2 and 3. I would say, without a doubt, Senator Duplessis and Councilmember Thomas, unquestionably.
All right.
Senator Duplessis.
Yeah, that's something that I would certainly have to give some thought to. I think ranked choice voting does have some value, without a doubt. Councilmember Thomas, and I'm gonna go with Mr. Janusa. I haven't really given it much thought, but I'm for people who show up.
All right, Mr. Thomas.
I mean, that's an easy one for me, Senator Duplessis and businessman Frank Janusa.
All right.
Okay. Well, we got some hypothetical cross endorsements yesterday on the program during the forum. So that was out of all of the candidates, those who were participating and those who were not participating. These three candidates let you know that if the vote was not for them, who they would suggest that you vote for. We do not have rank order voting or ranked choice voting, so you only get one choice. But with ranked choice voting, and we can talk about this another day, there are opportunities to vote for more than one candidate until a candidate gets 50% or more. So if no candidate gets 50%, there isn't a runoff. There's a tally, and you keep going at that tally to see who gets the 50 plus in time based on the second and third place votes.
Right. You know, when you look at it from the perspective, you know, that's a information that, you know, I never heard of any debate before. So that was something new.
Absolutely.
And if there's a runoff, that's going to be very important because basically all three candidates committed to supporting who they're going to support.
Mm-hmm.
If there's an election, because you gave hypothetical situations. So,
Yeah.
so you know, the odds are that one of those individuals will be in a runoff, you know, because they're the three or four top candidates. So that was very informative. So that was a very good question that was asked because I hadn't heard that question at any other forum. They may have said it at another forum, but I heard it here first at WBOK.
Right, absolutely. So we appreciate those of you who submitted questions and those who participated in other ways to make the event what it was yesterday. We will be talking about these campaigns in the coming days because it is election season. We referenced the UNO poll a short while ago, but that poll did include some other interesting numbers. So, for instance, in the sheriff's race, former New Orleans Police Department Superintendent Michelle Woodfolk, according to this poll, has a lead over her 5 opponents in the sheriff's race. And according to this poll, she has 44% of the respondents would vote for her if they had to vote at the time the poll was taken. And incumbent sheriff Susan Hudson is coming through with 13%. So given the troubles with the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office and the jail in particular, to get 13%, I think in a poll right now, it's pretty good. But of course, that doesn't indicate all of the strength that Michelle Woodfolk or Susan Hudson might have during the early election period or on election day. And the third person who got results in that poll is a second city constable, Edwin Shorty, who came in with 9%. And that was about 9%. So, but that still leaves quite a number of people who are undecided. According to this poll, a third of the voters are still undecided. A third. So, if all of those people were to vote for a single candidate, that would put the second and third place, current second and third place candidates in a pretty darn good position. And it would put Michelle Woodfolk over the top.
I think that was the situation when Sheriff Hudson won against incumbent
Absolutely.
Marlon Guzman. You know, it was a situation where Guzman was well ahead in the polls. And, you know, and some people said that, you know, he kind of slacked off in the end because he had like a big lead. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just telling you what the political pundits said.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and she was in a distant second place, but she got into a runoff. And once she got into that runoff, it was a game changer. And she wound up getting elected. So, you know, I always say I'm a student of history, of everything, especially in political elections. That's why I always say when you vote for a mayor, you're voting for him for 8 years. Because in recent history, we have not had any incumbent mayor not to be reelected. And in the case of the sheriff's office, you know, once you're in there for a long time, you know, usually. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when you
three longtime
sheriffs, you know, so when you looked at, you know, Guzman and Fody, I mean, they were in there forever. You know, so when you look at it from that perspective, whoever we vote for sheriff, they're going to be there for a while.
More likely than not.
More likely than not.
Of course, we have an incumbent sheriff who's is serving one term, and she's made it clear not only does she want a second term, she'd like a third term, because she's looking longer term and she sees things that she would be able to do over the course of 12 years as opposed to 1 4-year term. And her challengers are challenging her and urging voters to make a change because they want to take the sheriff's office in a different direction. It is 8:23 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8:30. Well, you got 7 minutes to get there, but we don't want you speeding, and we want you to watch the kids. And we want you to be safe. You're listening to WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Make sure you tune in on Thursdays at 12:30 p.m. for the Roux with Chef Bunny, sponsored by Blue Plate Mayonnaise on WBOK 1230 a.m.
I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Police are investigating a homicide in Mid-City where a man was shot and killed. Police say this happened around 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon on Bienville Street. We're coming off the heels of what crime analysts say was the deadliest week in New Orleans since the New Year's Day terror attack. Despite the uptick, crime overall is still at historic lows. Today, convicted former 911 director Tyrell Morris is set to be sentenced. A jury found him guilty last week of lying and covering up a wreck in his agency-issued vehicle. Back in 2023, Morris was involved in an accident where he flashed a blue emergency light, although he's not an officer. He also falsified a report to an insurance company and altered an OPCD policy to avoid a drug test. Morris could face up to 17 years in prison. Also happening today, the Orleans Parish Jail employee accused of assisting in the massive jailbreak will be back in court. Sterling Williams is accused of cutting off the water in a jail cell so the inmates could escape through a hole behind a toilet in that cell. He's pleaded not guilty to principle of simple escape and malfeasance in office. Water quality across the metro area has been tested, and one local nonprofit says parish leaders need to take it seriously. The Water Collaborative tested tap water from 107 homes across 7 different parishes, including in Orleans. The results showed 98% of homes had at least a trace of what's called forever chemicals, substances like lead, copper, arsenic, and manganese. The group has a meeting in New Orleans scheduled for Thursday at 6 p.m. at the RTA boardroom on Canal. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
Let me be clear. I don't know Charlie Kirk. Hadn't heard of him until he was assassinated by a deranged white gunman on the campus of a small college in Utah. But I've since become familiar with his widely popular philosophy and far-right conservative opinions and views regarding black folks. However, I choose not to respond with vitriol of disrespect of the dead. But here's my take. When public figures make sweeping and disparaging remarks about African Americans, it is tempting to meet those words with equal force. But there is another way, one rooted not in vitriol, but in clarity, dignity, and truth. Mr. Kirk's comments, which suggest that black professionals are inherently suspect, that black women succeed only through favoritism, and that black communities are defined by crime, are not new. Versions of these stereotypes have circulated for centuries. What is new is the ease with which such words are broadcast to millions of people, echoing in ways that can only harden divisions. How then should African Americans respond? First, by refusing to internalize these mischaracterizations. The accomplishments of Black Americans in the cockpit, the courtroom, the classroom, and on every field of human endeavor stand as daily rebuttals. The measure of one's worth is not found in the skepticism of critics like Kirk, but in the substance of one's work. Second, by lifting up stories of excellence and service that counterbalance caricature. For every negative stereotype offered, there are countless real lives that tell a different story of Black Marines whom I've interviewed, who served with honor, of Black women leading companies, legislating in Congress, healing in hospitals like my goddaughter, and teaching in classrooms. Their presence is not a product of lowered standards, no, but of talent, perseverance, and sacrifice. Finally, by engaging not in anger, but in insistence, an insistence on being seen in full humanity, responding with measured words and lived examples, robbed inflammatory commentary of its power. It signals that progress does not depend on the approval of those skeptics who doubt it. And so the challenge now falls to Black leaders in politics, business, media, and yes, the pulpit, to keep telling our stories, to answer stereotypes not with silence, but with narratives of achievement, resilience, and pride. Because in the end, the most powerful voice against ignorance is the unvarnished truth of exactly who we are. This is Norman Robinson off the top.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
My name is Calvin Duncan, and I served 28 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. But instead of losing hope at Angola, I educated myself, became a jailhouse lawyer, and after decades of being denied access to my records by the clerk's office, proved my innocence. Today, that same office is treating our records like trash, and it's time for a clerk who knows how much is at stake.
Calvin Duncan for clerk.
Paid for by Calvin for clerk.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and I'm here with Chief Eddie Campos, otherwise known as Coach, otherwise known as Trainer, otherwise known as Poppy.
That's my favorite, Poppy.
All right, so I'm here with Poppy, and why are we here, Chief?
We're here to hear you.
Yes, you're hearing our voices, and we love it when we hear your voices. We had quite a good conversation with movie producer extraordinaire Derek Williams, our homeboy. He's a part of a team bringing us Sarah's Oil, coming out November 7th. Chief and I had the opportunity to attend a sneak preview, a premiere, if you would, over in Elmwood last night. Wonderful movie. Look it up on their website, Sarah's Oil Film. Look for the hashtag Sarah's Oil, no apostrophe, and you can find out more. You can even take a look at their trailer, and they are interested in organizations, community organizations, church groups who want to look at it, see the movie as a group, and they're particularly asking us to come out in a big way on the opening weekend, November 7th. So remember that name, Sarah's Oil, and look it up and make arrangements to see it soon. Let's talk a little bit more about the poll from UNO that came out. This is the latest public poll information. So keep in mind it's one poll and one public poll. Their candidates have their own polling that they use internally to discuss campaign strategy and so forth. So let's look at some of the other factoids from the UNO poll. So in the City Council at-large race for Division 1, Matthew Willard in this poll has about 32% support. Delicia Boyd has 18% support. And Matthew Hill has 5% support. So again, keep in mind the timing of the poll. These people were polled between September 20th and September 24th. So this was before some of the recent news. So that's where that contest is standing according to this one poll. But here's the thing about the poll. In that poll, yes, Matthew Willard is leading 32% to 18% to 5%. But here's a big number. Nearly half of those voters for that race, they're undecided. Half.
Wow.
Half are undecided. So you might be in third place according to the poll, but with 50% of the voters undecided, 50 plus 5 makes you a winner.
Wow.
So if all of those people were to vote for a single candidate, of course, that's not likely to happen. But that's one of the things to keep in mind when you hear these names of candidates leading in any particular poll. So keep that in mind as you consider what we're sharing here and what you hear in the coming days and the coming weeks. Again, the talk line number is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. And in the City Council at-large Division 2 race, City Council President J.P. Morrell has a commanding 45% support lead over his couple of challengers, Gregory Manning, who has 10% in that poll, and Kenneth Cutno, who has 5% in that poll. So the challengers' efforts are to decrease that significant lead that Mr. Morrell has, and Morrell's challenge is to increase that support so that he can win outright in the October election. We have a call. Good morning, Dr. Juanita.
Good morning. How are you?
Fabulous. How are you?
Good, too. Thank you. Thank you for having me to discuss such an important topic.
Very good. We are happy to have you on, Dr. Mora. You are an immunologist and national spokesperson for the American Lung Association. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So have you been on WBOK before?
Yes, I think we have. We did it last year with you guys.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, it's been a little while, so take a moment or two to reintroduce yourself to some and introduce yourself to others of our listeners, and tell us a little bit about you, where you were born and reared, what schools you went to, how you got into the business of healthcare.
Of course. So I'm Dr. Juanita Mora. I am an allergist and immunologist in the city of Chicago, and I love serving the underserved communities and obviously advocating as well, too, which is why I work so closely with American Lung Association, because I love all the work that they do, especially for our African-American and Latino communities that can be hit with bad respiratory symptoms and respiratory virus, especially this season. And I'm a first-generation Mexican-American, born in Chicago. Dad was a butcher, Mom a stay-at-home mom, and they just taught us education had to be key. No one can take it away from you. So I went to University of Chicago for college. Then I went to University of Illinois College of Medicine. I did internal medicine and pediatrics in residency here at Rush University Medical Center, followed by allergy and immunology at Rush. And then I joined a large private practice, and I started my own practice here in Chicago 11 years ago. It will be next Wednesday. And I love being a voice for those that have no voice.
Well, good for you. 11 years in practice.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's not an easy thing because there's so much good that goes on with providing health care. And we're grateful to you for bringing us some news and information about what the American Lung Association is doing, and in particular, RSV and the impact of RSV on hospitalization of our babies. So can you tell us what RSV is? We hear the letters. Some of us know what it means, but we're not sure exactly how it comes about and the impact. Give us a little background on that.
Of course. So RSV is the leading cause of hospitalization in babies, especially those less than 1 year of age, and it causes 2.1 million outpatient visits every year to the pediatrician and 80,000 hospitalizations in kids less than 5 years of age. It's a highly contagious virus that happens every fall and winter, starts in October, goes all the way through March, and it tends to afflict two age groups. One, those less than 5 years of age because of the fact that their lungs are barely developing, and the other one are greater than 65 years of age, the grandparents that take care of these babies. So obviously with the American Lung Association, we're doing this campaign, one, to help protect our babies, and also those grandparents, and to talk about how these vaccines work and why it's so important, especially when it takes a village to take care of these babies. We got to protect the whole village.
Thank you. Dr. Morris, Chief Campos, how you doing this morning?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I want to ask you, what are the typical symptoms of RSV, and how can a parent distinguish between a mild case and a more severe one that might require medical attention?
So RSV initially begins with mild symptoms. It might be a runny nose, a high fever in these babies, but when two scenarios that I always teach parents to watch out for. So one is when all this phlegm produced by this RSV virus hits their little lungs, it can cause a pneumonia-type picture or bronchiolitis, that inflammation of the airways. So then babies start using their chests to try to breathe, to take a good deep breath, or they develop a cough that won't go away. These are signs or symptoms that they should take these babies to the emergency department. The other one are signs and symptoms of dehydration. When a baby's not feeling well, they're not going to be feeding well. So you have to watch the number of wet diaper this baby has. If you see a large decrease in the number of wet diapers, if the baby's sleeping more, if the baby's more fatigued and not really feeding, these is another sign when to take the baby to the emergency department.
Okay. Now, as we enter the fall and the winter virus season, what steps can families take to protect their infants and toddlers from RSV?
Well, the first one is now this is the second year we actually have protection for these babies that has been shown to decrease hospitalization rates in these little ones by more than 50%. So number one is if a mommy is pregnant between 32 and 36 weeks of pregnancy, they can get an RSV vaccine, and then she passes on that protection onto the babies. The other way is giving babies as soon as they're born from 0 months all the way to 8 months of age RSV monoclonal antibody. It's just a shot that gives them that layer of protection against RSV that works right away. So if their little body encounters RSV, it has some protection already built in. It can also be for those 8 months all the way to 19 months who are high risk for RSV complications, like the babies that were born prematurely, or they have underlying lung disease, such as congenital lung disease or congenital heart disease or cystic fibrosis, or anything that makes them immunocompromised. And let's not forget the grandparents. RSV vaccine is also available for those greater than 65 years of age, so that way we can get the whole village protected.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So is there something special about going into the fall and winter virus season when it comes to RSV and protecting our babies?
Well, we have to use universal precautions. So we're going to be in the season where not only RSV is going to be out there, but flu is going to be out there, COVID-19, plus whatever kids are going to get. Last year we had a lot of strep throat as well. So things that are going to help, making sure the universal precautions are taken. Frequent hand washing. 2, that people mask, especially if they're immunocompromised. 3, if the baby is sick or the child is sick, don't send them to daycare or school. Let's keep the germs at home. Don't have the grandparents babysit them if they're sick either. And then obviously the most important is getting them the protection by getting mommies vaccinated during pregnancy or giving the babies as soon as they're born this shot.
And is there an antibody for infants, and can any infant be eligible for that or no?
Yeah, so any infant 0 to 8 months is eligible, and insurance does cover it, which is really great. This is the second season that we're actually using it. Last year we have 2024-25 data that showed a decrease in hospitalization of 50% in these babies. So this is why we're talking and trying to educate parents so that way we save more babies.
So my baby, my wife and I's baby, he is 30 years old now. But we do have the grandbabies, and we have infants and toddlers in the family. But one of the things that I think is tricky is kind of identifying what is a cold versus what is RSV that needs a different kind of attention. Can you help us with that?
Sure. And I think that's where, most, like even flu, even COVID-19, even RSV, they begin as common cold symptoms. And oftentimes it's not until testing that we can really tell that it's this virus. But that's where I teach the 2 scenarios initially. And then if parents are worried about RSV or there's someone immunocompromised at home and the baby gets a really bad cold or the child less than 5 years of age, they can always go into the pediatrics office and they can get easily tested with a nasal swab for RSV. And then you'll be able to know whether it's RSV or anything else. Honestly, what we do, though, for RSV is just supportive treatment. So making sure that, if they have breathing problems, that we give nebulization, or sometimes they need supplemental oxygen, or that they get IV fluids if they're dehydrated, etc. But what we don't want to get into the predicament is where they need that need for hospitalization because they're short of breath or they're dehydrated. So knowing the symptoms and how to protect them, I think, are the most important things.
Are there any common misconceptions about RSV that you'd like to clear up for us today?
Sure. A lot of people think that only kids can get it, so they're like, oh, we don't have to worry about it. But I want to remind everyone that people greater than 65 years of age, especially those with underlying chronic medical conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, any lung disease such as asthma or emphysema or anything that makes them immunocompromised, are going to be high risk for RSV complications. So they definitely need an RSV vaccine as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I mean, this is really good to get this information right now while we're still got some warmth here in New Orleans. Of course, we don't get as cold as it gets in Chicago, but that doesn't mean that our babies in New Orleans and Southern Louisiana don't get RSV. And we have had some regular reports here in the New Orleans area about RSV, so we know how important it is. And, of course, we want all of our human beings, particularly our baby human beings, to be healthy. So thank you very much, Dr. Mora, for joining us this morning from Chicago, representing the American
And people can learn more at lung.org, so that way they can go to our website if they have any more questions.
I'll say that again one more time.
People can go to lung.org, LUNG.org, to learn all they need to know about RSV, including the treatments available.
All right. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another mostly dry and hot day. There will be a chance for a spotty shower or two if you're lucky, but again, most of us staying dry. Highs today will rise into the low 90s, feeling just a few degrees above that. And then for tonight, lows into the 60s on the North Shore and the 70s on the South Shore. A little bit better chances for rain over the next couple of days, especially for the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the community scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
Michelle Woodfork is New Orleans born and raised, a proud graduate of St. Mary's Academy. She earned a master's in criminal justice and rose through the ranks to become chief of police. She turned the NOPD around, reducing crime, boosting morale, and expanding recruitments. She's earned this city's trust, and as sheriff, she'll be a leader we can all be proud of. Michelle Woodfork, proven, prepared, the right choice.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for sheriff.
New Orleans is an easy city to love. It shouldn't be a hard place to live. I'm Matthew Willard, born and raised in Gentilly, proud to carry on my family's tradition of public service. In less than 6 years, I passed 36 bills that made a difference. Now I'm running for City Council at Large Division 1 so we can keep living in the city we love. Safe, affordable, and one that gets the job done. New Orleans, let's make it happen. Paid for by the Matthew Willard Campaign.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060. Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryan Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Campos. Of course, we had that mayoral forum yesterday here on WBOK. We had some really good conversation, good questions, answers, and the candidates didn't always answer the question exactly, but in some cases they did. But, of course, they have the opportunity to answer any question the way that they choose. And you, the listeners, were the beneficiaries of hearing directly from them. You can always go back and play or replay that forum from yesterday on the station's Facebook page. Right now, we're going to hear a bit of what happened during yesterday's mayoral forum, so that those of you who missed it can hear some of it, and those of you who heard it can hear this bit again.
All right, now these are the questions that were called by the callers that I'm about to, the specific candidate questions. Okay. Senator Duplessis, you are the only black Democrat to work with Governor Jeff Landry's transition team. Some of your critics have said you continue to carry the governor's water. How would you address that?
Well, I wasn't the only black Democrat. I was the only elected official from New Orleans that was involved with that. And the reason that I did that was because there was never any, I don't recall any governor setting up a transition committee just focused on the city of New Orleans. So I believed it was a responsibility. And what I want to highlight, because some folks have tried to use that to make some sort of political, play some political game, is every day I serve in the Louisiana legislature where I'm serving on committees. I'm serving in the legislature where I'm outnumbered. So that was my responsibility in many ways, to try to be a part of trying to make sure that New Orleans was, number one, protected, and ensuring that New Orleans had a voice regarding what was happening for the city of New Orleans. That's leadership. The politically convenient thing would be for me to say, oh, I'm not going to be involved, right? So I could take the governor to task when necessary. So if talking about carrying the governor's water, I want somebody to give an example, because if anybody was really doing their homework and they really knew what was going on, they would see that I've been one of the governor's toughest opponents and critics on issues that don't benefit the city of New Orleans. For example, when he had his important tax legislation, one of his most important bills, I was the only senator, not just Democrat, the only senator out of 39 senators to vote against his tax proposal. And I can count to a number of different instances where I've stood up to the governor, but there have also been instances where I've tried to work with the governor on issues around homeowners insurance and other things that impact our people. So I'm going to always try to work with whoever's in office, whoever the governor is. That's what leaders do. But any notion that I'm carrying somebody's water is absolutely false, and they don't have any evidence to suggest otherwise. But that's just politics. People run that narrative. But if people really did their homework, they'll know what time it is.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Janusa, you are a Republican running for mayor in a majority Democratic city. You've said you think that would be advantageous to us with a Republican governor. At a recent debate, you said you expected to get Governor Landry's endorsement. Did I miss that announcement, or has that not happened, and why?
You did not miss the announcement because the announcement hasn't happened yet. But interestingly, as of last night, I've received the endorsement for mayor of New Orleans by the Louisiana GOP, and I'm very proud to have that endorsement. I only wish that endorsement came with some dollars. I'm about $1.5 million short in my campaign coffers, but that's a story for another day. I believe that should I become the first Republican mayor in 153 years, that I would have a type of affinity between myself and the Republican establishment in Baton Rouge, and likewise with the Republican establishment in Washington, D.C. And like I've said on many forums, and I've been to 45, actually 46, including today's, in the last 62 days. I believe that if additional monies will be coming from Baton Rouge, I'll drive my Jeep to Baton Rouge, get that money, and come back home with it. I'll take a cheap flight to D.C., and I'll come home with money from the Trump administration.
All right, thank you. All right, Councilman Thomas, You have been the subject of jabs because of your longtime relationship with WBOK and its owners, especially Troy Henry, who has been seeking a lucrative trash contract. Is Mr. Henry your cousin, and are you supportive of his efforts to have a French Quarter trash contract?
Well, first of all, I don't think it matters whether he's my cousin or not. He's a businessman in this community and a citizen of this community. And if the disparity, especially if you read the data center report on the gap in wealth and the disparity in wealth that started under the Landry administration to now, where black people are poor per capita, black children are poorer than they were pre-Katrina. African-American women at the state level make 49 cents on a dollar. And the CNBC report says black men and boys are missing from the nation's economy. And someone would be foolish not to advocate for African-American business person or anyone to have a stronger position in the economy. And just like it's politics to blame the senator for working with Republicans or governor, just like it would be politics or crazy for someone to say if Mr. Janusa was mayor, because he was a Republican, he couldn't work for everyone. That's just politics and the hyper partisan time we're in. The one thing that I do know is that I'm committed to my community. I'm committed to being the best mayor for all people. And black businessmen and women like Mr. Henry need more advocates. They need more people. There are people in this race who talk about helping black business, but have consistently voted against black business. There are people in this race who talk about, they patronize black folk, but they wouldn't come here to this interview, or they've skipped certain debates, especially if it was African-American organizations like the Martinet Society or small African-American businesses. Now, I am unapologetically for New Orleans. I'm unapologetically committed to closing the wealth gap for African-American business, men and women, and making sure that they can participate, whether they're my cousin, whether they're not my cousin, whether they're my cousin, or whether they're my partner from the Ninth Ward. I'm committed to it, Papa.
All right, we're going to move. All right. Well, there you heard another part of the forum that was broadcast here on a special edition of the Good Morning Show yesterday. We're going to be keeping you informed as we go through the campaign cycle. That includes reminding you that the election is October 11th, and early voting has started and is well underway. It ends on October 4th. There are 4 voting locations for early voting in Orleans Parish, and that includes City Hall, the Algiers Courthouse, the voting machine warehouse, and the Lake Vista Community Center. We have an update about how early voting is going, and as of this morning, the total from yesterday at City Hall, there were 723 votes. At Algiers Courthouse, there were 470 votes. And at the voting machine warehouse, there was 1,268 votes. And there were 1,054 votes at Lake Vista. So that's a grand total of 30,515 more votes cast early, and that's only the in-person votes. So day by day, there are mail ballots, absentee ballots coming in, so we don't have a count on that. But these are some good numbers with the numbers that we got that came in on Saturday and on Monday. We're going to keep on top of that and stay tuned for more. Lord willing, we'll be back here tomorrow morning to bring you another edition of the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.